Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Jeanette Biro here. I'm a medium and a channeler. Welcome to your weekday daily card reading where we dive into the cards, see what's in store with a message from Spirit. All right, this week I'm using the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. Okay, a couple things first. First thing I want to say is check out the podcast for today. And the reason why I say that is it was one that it was a live channeled podcast. So what I mean by that is I sit down, hit record, and start. I don't know the full story of what's coming or what the channel is until I just do it, right? So it was a live channeled podcast that I recorded in December. Spirit had said, sit down and record, and I did. But then they said, don't post this yet. And I was like, oh, okay, so when do I post this? And I would ask and they'd be like, not yet, not yet, not yet. And then they were like, this needs to come out today, like today. And it's interesting because it is a podcast on anger and a channeled message on anger. And so it's very timely considering all of the things happening in the world. We can look at minute details, we can look at big details, we can look at the astrological aspects that have been pushing us to our limits. You can listen to it on so many different levels depending on what it is you're going through, but it's very timely that it is coming out now. So I just want to encourage you all, if you're feeling a draw to that, there's likely a reason. So have a listen to it because it's spoken with a lot of compassion as well too. So I just wanted to share that. All right. Okay. Oh, I guess. And if you're new to my channel, the podcast is called the Jeanette Biro Podcast, and it's on YouTube as well as any audio platform too. All right, Spirit, what do we have for today? This is really, really neat. Yes. Okay, fair. This is coming from one of my guides. She doesn't actually speak often. I have other ones that like to share more messages. She's always there when it's the collective that comes forward. But she's wanting to share this really interesting message. She's kind of like, I would describe her as kind of like half angel, half fairy, but very kick-ass, if I could put it that way too. She's saying one of the best things to do with the energy this week is to sit high up on the mountain. And she's showing me this image of somebody literally sitting cross-legged on the very mountain peak. And there's this beautiful, big kind of like sun behind them. And they're sitting, observing everything in the valley. And she's saying this is a really good perspective to keep this week as you integrate new energies, integrate this huge momentum we talked about last week. She was reminding me there's a big momentum energy starting today. And it doesn't mean we can't participate in that momentum by actively being involved in what's ever happening in the valley, but she's saying it's so important to pull our energy back to that mountain peak view to really get an understanding of what's happening, to get that overview. That overview is going to really help you in not making snap judgments on something, which I think is really interesting. And she says too, if you were to look under the surface of things right now, she's like, there's so much happening under the surface that it requires you to get that full overview in order to try and make sense of how some of these things apply to you or how to better utilize the energy to use it in your favor so that it's moving in your favor. All right, interesting. Okay, well, let's see what the messages are in the cards here. Hold on. Okay, Spirit. And they're saying pull the card from the bottom as well. Interesting. There, okay. So the bottom card we have is Thinker. And this is really interesting. I love, and I always notice the number 44 on this card. 44 is like a grounding number. It's stability. It's kind of like four legs of a table, right? Like that is a stable table. Now we have that doubled with the 44. And when we link that to the Thinker, it's kind of like saying your greatest control in any situation is your mind. If you keep your mind in a place where it is stable, it has space to breathe, it has space to think, it has space to express, then you can be in any kind of position of power in whatever is needed. You become the powerhouse. And so this is really emphasizing the mind right now. So it's like, keep your mind in an energy of stability right now. The next cards we have is, oh, now this is very interesting. This is very interesting. All right, so first of all, we have the fates. So the fates, this is really interesting. This is like destiny points. This is kind of the universe acting on your behalf. This is sort of like the Magician card in tarot as well. So it's like there's something underway. This is that idea that she was talking about, that like things under the surface. There's something happening under the surface. There's an alignment coming into play, and we can kind of see that with these stars here, like in alignment. There's an alignment coming into play. There's also a significant planetary alignment in the sky, I believe, this week too. Interesting and timely. There's an alignment underway that you cannot fully see right now, but it is in the hands of fate. It is in the hands of destiny. And I feel this is personal as well as collective. So we might see this play out on the world stage somehow, as well as happening for you internally, for you in your personal life somehow. There's an act of fate and destiny at play as well this week with this momentum energy. So really notice what comes up for you, because here's the thing. We also have the serendipity card. So when we have this fate card plus serendipity, this is talking about very tangible things coming into play. Serendipity is that kind of luck card, that serendipitous circumstance or situation that comes up. You know, you meet somebody at the right time in the right place. You accidentally phone the wrong number, but you end up having a conversation with somebody that can open the door to something for you. You know, this is these like synchronistic events. And there's a huge emphasis on this right now with the fates and serendipity together. I have to tell you, these like hugely stack the energy. I love this. This speaks to the momentum that's coming. This speaks to the energetics that are coming. So again, if we have this really huge, amazing universal energy plus synchronistic divine alignment energy, keeping your thoughts stable, clear, grounded within your resonant frequency. If things trigger you, you take the time to listen to what it's triggering. You take the time to sit in that perspective, like my guide Piper was talking about. This is so valuable right now. This is a huge, 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 huge message for you, okay? Now, the other part of this message, which I think is really neat, is also this not for you card. Now, normally when I get this card, I'm like, oh, well, that's not for me. What do you mean? In this case, I actually really like it, because this is saying deal with the things that you're meant to deal with and leave the ones that you're not. Affect the things you can affect, release the ones you can't. Because if you overreach your thinking, your worries, your stressors into areas you cannot do anything different in a significant way, I mean, your energy always makes a difference in the collective. But if you're stressing so much about something you can't change, it's pulling from the energy from which you can change. So really pay attention to what is not for you. It doesn't mean you're ignorant to the situations, but it means you're choosing very consciously where you're putting your energy. Because there is such a big energy this week, such a shift energy, such a universal serendipitous energy this week, really be thoughtful of where you're putting the mind energy. So that's really interesting. I think this is really, really neat. I love how Spirit does this too. So definitely something to ponder. Again, if you want to dive deeper into some of these trigger ideas, then consider listening to the podcast today. I think it might be very helpful. And yeah, I will leave that all for now. So thank you so much for joining me as always. I appreciate it. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.